Life in a seed, in a tree, in the air we breathe. Life on earth comes and goes, bound by days, seasons, and years. Our time is precious. What happens when something dies? What comes after? We've become obsessed. Attempting to extend reality, we've ignored the eternal and held on to our past, as if autonomy was ever in our grasp. The future is, of all things, the thing least like eternity. For the past is frozen and no longer flows. But the present, however, is the point at which time touches eternity. It's in the present we let eternity flow. With our focus misguided, we perceive death as an end. But what if death is the requirement for true life?
There's a world full of mercy and peace, mercy and peace, waiting for me. There's a land for the lost and the least, where they dine with the King, waiting for me. Yeah, His holiness fills up the temple, still He took my sin and my shame. I didn't deserve to be rescued, still He has called me by name.
I got a phone call from my mother, and it was honestly the first time I've ever heard her cry in my life. And she told me that my father had just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and the doctors were giving him 5 to 15 days to live.
I was coming out of a relationship that I was engaged to be married, and it didn't work out.
I had no community. I've never been this far away from family, friends, and basically everything that I've known to draw support from. And then on top of that, you throw a pandemic.
My whole childhood life, I've had traumatic experiences. When I was 10 and 11 years old, I was molested. And then after that, I was pregnant at 17. And I wasn't allowed to keep my baby boy, so I gave him up for adoption.
As a doctor working in a hospital during that time, there was so much uncertainty. I would go to work and the anxiety would be thick in the air. As somebody who has always struggled with anxiety, it was like the perfect storm.
I needed something. I needed some kind of help or some kind of support.
The hardest thing I've ever had to do was watch my father gasp for air. I was looking for some form of comfort, and I knew I couldn't find it in any one person.
All his hurt, I've kept inside. No one knew about it.
My anxiety really started to peak. There was almost like a shame. No one really talks about what it's like to be in the faith and have these deep struggles that actually challenge your faith. I found myself really falling into a really, really dark space.
This past year, we celebrated 6 years as a church. God has been so faithful. As we look backwards, I believe we always gain faith to move forwards. You're gonna hear me say this every year around this time. We're more committed to the future than we are to the past. Yet how do we move into the future? We gotta start right here. We have to have a vision for this place, this moment, this hour. If I'm ever gonna get there, I gotta plant my feet here.
Scripture tells us that God has set eternity in our hearts, but He's also put our feet here in the present. I believe it's because that promise of what awaits us gives us strength today, gives us joy in the middle of the battle, and unites us with our brothers and sisters who are walking in the same direction on our left and our right towards eternity with Jesus.
Every year, I ask God to give us a word, to give us a phrase, to give us a prophetic statement of where we're going for the next 12 months. And I heard the Lord speak so clearly to me that this year, it's for the sake of eternity. What's for the sake of eternity? everything you're doing in your reality, the crews that we're gonna build, the teams that are gonna be established, the leaders that are gonna be released, the salvations that will occur in this house, it's all happening for the sake of eternity.
Not too long after that, I had gotten an email about our VOUS Care cruise.
One of my good friends told me about VOUS Church, and so I went once, I went again, I went a third time, and on that third time, I just started to get plugged in and meet people.
I had started going to VOUS, but I didn't really want to get involved. I didn't know if I had anything to give. I gave it to God, and there was just something in me that said, press in.
I felt I needed to get it off my shoulders. I needed to give my life to Christ. Then I decided to join a crew.
So I joined Free to Grow. They were really the ones that kind of helped me pull me out of that dark space.
I started serving on venue control. Anytime I was at VOUS, I always felt at home. I always felt at peace. When I showed up on Sundays, somebody was always asking me about my father.
I started leading crews, and I started getting more involved in the worship team. I found the heaviness on my shoulders start to lift.
I heard multiple stories from my crew members, and so it prompted me, it helped me talk to people about the pain that I've kept inside, that it's okay to talk about it and not feel the shame.
My first experience with VOUS was somebody else bringing me along, but I chose to kind of lean in and say yes to going on teams, saying yes to getting into a crew and a community. And from that, yes, it's just led to so much more.
My father, he passed in 2017. VOUS Church, giving me just the community around me, being with me on that journey, because I never felt alone.
I handed my life over to God, and there's a reason why I'm here. Show me, and He's been showing me.
VOUS is a place full of ordinary people that God is using extraordinarily.
This is not a church that we're looking just to fill seats. This is a church that we're looking for people to help us fulfill a mission, to share this good news with as many people as I possibly can. Every day of my life, from the team that I serve on, from the crew that I fellowship with, from my workplace, it's all for the sake of eternity.
For the sake of eternity, we don't back down or settle. For the sake of eternity, we keep holding on to hope. For the sake of eternity, we live for something larger than ourselves.
I'm here for this vision. I'm here for this cause. I'm here for this house. I got one life, and I want to pour it out, building the church of Jesus Christ. Not for my glory, but for His glory. And not for my sake, but for the sake of eternity.
What I have done, I have done. And it has been my doing, says the Lord, and it has been marvelous in my sight. Your childlike faith thrills me, says the Lord. For you have taken me at my word, and I have talked about you in eternity. How proud I am of you. How my children in Miami are trusting me. Oh, how I love Miami. And up until this time, I have guided you, and I have led you, and I have showed you where to go. For even now, locations and situations have changed, that which you had not even planned for. But trust me in the doing and trust me in the going, for I will open up more doors, and I will open up windows that no man can open and no man can shut. Oh, how I long to do this with you.